Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of STSL Off the Track. And it is now week 8 of Monster Trucks and Monster Jam in general. And today, I'll be flying solo as both Dorsey and Nofagen were both unavailable to do this episode. But sometimes things get in the way of life, and sometimes we'll have to make you push things back. And for this one, I'll be flying solo. However, I will have a special guest here later on when we talk about Detroit. But other than that, this was week 8, and we have plenty of things to talk about. Starting off with in other news, NASCAR had their race in Atlanta, and what a crazy finish! A three-wide finish, um, with Daniel Suarez, Kyle Busch, and Ryan Blaney all crossing the line almost together. But Daniel Suarez beat them .003, and beat both Ryan Blaney, who finished second, and Kyle Busch in third. And talk about, I wish Dorsey and Noffigen were both here to talk about this, um, as there was also a funny reference to Cars as to when the King and Chick Hicks and Lightning McQueen all finished a three-way tie. Uh, and obviously, everyone knows the first race in the first Cars movie. Uh, it was almost exactly the same way. Anyone wondering if Kyle Busch was sticking his tongue out to recreate the moment, but that was that. As far as other things I from that past week, I'm not too sure. But other than that, let's move on to the other shows we had this past weekend. Starting off with Hot Wheels Monster Trucks Live. They had their shows in Edinburgh, Texas, and Manchester, United Kingdom. Moving to promoter TNT in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. The lineup consisted of Mike Waters driving Black Stallion, Chris DeHoyos driving Higher Education, Monster Patrol with Travis Streiser, Overkill Evolution with Steve Thompson, Tars being driven by Preston Press, and USA One being driven by Rodney Tweedy. And then we had the South Carolina Monster Truck Madness in Travelers Rest, South Carolina. And the lineup consisted of Aftershock driven by BJ Manconi, Culture Shock with Daniel Ames, All Red Truck with Jeffrey Fielding, Temporarily Insane with Donnie Hubbard, Virginia Giant being driven by Cliff Vowell. Then we move over to WGAS in Indio, California. Playing for Keeps, driven by Tony Canito, Scared to Lead Plato, Skull Crusher Shane Plato, Survivor Ryan Frazier, and Terminator Tyler Rowe. As we also move down in the same state, Santa Maria, California, for 2X Monster Trucks Live Tour. Same lineup as always. I'm pretty sure they will be having the same lineup the following weekend. Then Monster Truck Wars had their shows in Del Rio, Texas, and Marion, Ohio. Monster Truck Insanity Tour, starting off their 10-year anniversary and starting off their season in Ada, Oklahoma. Their lineup consisted of Against the Grain being driven by Brad Shepard, Bigfoot driven by Josh Baumgartner, who usually drives Mechanical Mischief, but is being having the honors to drive uh, the Bigfoot name uh, on his truck. Then we also had Alan Pizzo driving Predator and Redneck Rampage by Rod Schmidt. We move on over to MAP Motorsports in Waco, Texas. Darren Basil driving Blockhead, Jared Smith Dirt Crew, Jack Brown Dozer, Jacob Ladwig driving Rat Attack, Trent Montgomery Tailgater, and RJ Turner driving War Wizard. Now we move over to Monster Truck Nitro Tour, who just recently bought bought the Monster Trucks with the Z Tour and rebranded it over to Monster X Tour. They had their shows in Redmond, Oregon, and West Monroe, Louisiana. Now we move on to All Star Monster Truck Tour in Winder, Georgia. Their lineup consisted of Elliot Miller and Josh Eckel driving Colossus, Triton Robbins, Crazy Train, Athena Kozel, Little Miss Dangerous, Montana Robbins playing Crazy, and then we have this Zimmer father and son duo of Terminal Velocity and Uproar. Now that is all the independent shows we have. Later on, we'll move on to the independent shows that we have upcoming for week 9. As we're now moving on to the shows, jam shows that we had this past weekend, starting off with Arena West in Wichita, Kansas. And as once again, I'll be going over through these pretty swift and quickly. But here we are, Arena West in Wichita, Kansas. Now, first thing is first. It was announced by Monster Jam that Matt Cody will be taking the driving duties over for Brandon Vincent for the rest of the season. So good luck to Matt Cody, and hopefully to finish the tour off strong. But Wichita, Kansas had 3 shows that past weekend. Starting off with the racing finals, the Knoxville man, Dalton Widener and Jurassic Attack defeats Montemart Rottweiler. For the skills challenge, we had Jurassic Attack winning that. Relay competition goes to Tony Oaks and Thunder Roars. Freestyle competition goes to Thunder Roars, and the overall events goes to Jurassic Attack with a whooping 27 points. For Saturday evening, show 2, your racing winner was Tony Oaks and Thunder Roars, defeating Devin Winfield and Velociraptor. For skills, it was once again Thunder Roars. Relay competition this time goes to MJ Solorio and El Toro Loco. For freestyle, it goes to Matt Cody and Gravedigger, but the overall will go to Thunder Roars with a whooping 26 points. For Sunday, show 3, your racing winner is Tony Oaks and Thunder Roars, defeating Berto Trevino and the Monster Mutt Rottweiler. For skills, it goes to Thunder Roars once again. That is 2 for 3 that weekend. Relay competition goes to Matt Cody and Gravedigger. Freestyle competition goes to Matt Cody and Gravedigger once again, but the overall, finishing 2 for 3 that weekend, is Tony Oaks and Thunder Roars with 29 points. And that is the weekend for Wichita, Kansas. So far, it looks exciting. Matt Cody and Gravedigger looking strong. Finished in the top 5 in a couple of competitions. But other than that, that is the results from Wichita, Kansas. Now we move on over to. Give me 1 second here. We move on over to Allentown, Pennsylvania for Arena Championship Series East. And we had a couple of shows that past weekend. So we had we had 5 shows this weekend actually. So starting off with show 1, your racing winner is Armando Castro, defeating Zach Garner and Wildside. Your skills winner goes to, once again, El Toro Loco. Donut competition goes to Kristen Anderson and Gravedigger. The points battle is starting to get intense here. Your freestyle competition winner is, once again, Armando Castro and El Toro Loco. The overall will go to El Toro Loco with 29 points. Show 2, your racing winner, Cody Saucier and Dragon, defeating Kristen Anderson and Gravedigger. Your skills challenge winner goes to Armando Castro and El Toro Loco. Donut competition to El Toro Loco as well. Freestyle competition goes to Kristen Anderson and Gravedigger this time. And the overall will go to Gravedigger with 28 points. Show 3, your racing winner is once again Cody Saucier and Dragon, this time defeating El Toro Loco. Your skills challenge goes to El Toro Loco. Donut competition will go to Zach Gardner and Wildside. Freestyle will go to Dragon. And the overall will go to Wildside with 26 points. However, he did tie for first with El Toro Loco, but on a tiebreaker. As to, I don't know how they work this, but I believe for whoever won the last competition. So if that's the case, Wildside did win the donut competition and placed second in freestyle. So probably that will be the case and won the overall for show 3. For show 4, Sunday afternoon, your racing winner is Cody Saucier and Dragon, defeating Gravedigger. Skills challenge goes to Gravedigger. Donut competition goes to Armando Castro and El Toro Loco. Freestyle will go to Gravedigger. And the overall this time will go to Gravedigger with 30 points. And then show 5, the final show of the weekend for East. Your racing winner is once again Cody Saucier and defeating El Toro Loco. And Cody's looking strong out here for racing. Skills challenge winner was one this time again, Cody Saucier and Dragon. Donut competition will go to Angelina Knock and Megalodon. And then for freestyle, Cody Saucier and Dragon. Your overall winner is Cody Saucier and Dragon with 31 points. Now, if I wish Dorsey was here for this one episode, because I believe he would have been, he would have wanted to talk some. He would have spoke some amazing things for Cody, because on here we believe in Cody. Cody can pull off sometimes, but the points race looks like it's Armando and Kristen, but you never know. Cody Saucier could make it, but kind of did wish Dorsey was here for this one. Now we move on to the next event. Stadium Stadium Champ- Stadium Championship Series East. I still fumble with that word with those words right there. But this time they were in Miami, Florida, and for that weekend, we had Colton Eichelberger finally become he is finally the second driver to drive the Max D 20th anniversary body, which made its return in Miami, Florida. As we'll get to the results here in just a moment. They were here for two shows in the Lone Depot Park, home of the Miami Marlins. We'll get to the results here in just a moment. We got two shows. Your racing winner is Gravedigger Tyler Meninga defeating Tristan England, the World Finals racing champion, and JCB Digatron. Your skills competition wins goes to JCB Digatron. And for freestyle, the win goes to Tyler Meninga and Gravedigger, with overall ending in the night with 35 points is Tyler Meninga and Gravedigger. Now we move on to show 2 Sunday afternoon. Your racing winner is Tristan England and JCB Digatron, defeating Bryce Kenny and the Great Clips Mohawk Warrior. For skills, it will go to Toddler Duke and Megalodon. For freestyle, it will go once again to Megalodon and getting the overall. Now we had a tie here as well, but I believe this one's simple because this person did win the freestyle, and by nature, it is Toddler Duke and Megalodon with 31 points, as well as Mohawk Warrior. But on that tiebreaker, Toddler Duke wins it. But we had an amazing show in Miami. Now we'll talk about the other amazing show here that took place in Detroit, Michigan, the home of the Detroit Lions. And speaking of Detroit Lions, we'll get to that here in just a moment. But before I do that, we'll be right back with just a quick moment. Welcome back to STSL Off the Track, and I have a brand new guest on this episode. Well, not really brand new, he's been here before, but he is here to talk about this certain show that was up here in the north, and he is also from the north, so bring into our fellow Canadian, Caden Allen 7.
Nice to be back. I missed the podcast. I'm excited to be here talking about the event in Detroit that happened just last weekend, actually. So I'm looking forward to talking about that.
And right, so before we get there, I actually did want to talk about one thing that took everyone off by surprise and by storm too, and that is the surprise of said truck of the that was themed after you guys, and that is Northern Nightmare. And then when I saw your story when it came back, you were really excited to see it. What were your thoughts on Northern Nightmare being brought back?
Northern Nightmare bringing it back. I think that's one thing, and it's such a childhood truck for a lot of us, especially for me, for a Canadian like me. That was the truck that always came to Winnipeg with the Maple Leaf Monster Jam tour and all the Maple Leaf shows that they used to do. So that was special to see Northern Nightmare return. And Chris Kohler was the driver of it, and he absolutely, we're talking about this, but he threw it down all weekend, and it's something. I hope they do more of that. I hope we see more of Northern Nightmare, like in the Canadian shows like Calgary, Edmonton, and stuff like that. And I really, really want to see it more. But it was awesome to see that bringing it back for the first time in 4 years or 5 years actually.
Yeah, since the very last time Northern Nightmare was around, it was All Star, and we were both there actually at Las Vegas. Yeah, last time it was being driven by Cam McQueen at All Star, and this time it was driven by Chris Kohler, who normally drives Monster Man. And I guess they told him, you know what, we're bringing in a Ford body on for you guys. And it was really cool. I actually was surprising. I was actually excited to see us back. Northern Nightmare is just a big name, winning its first championship in its second year, I believe.
Yeah, it was back in I think World Finals 13 Cam McQueen won it, but I mean still, I mean it's just crazy. Like you see the truck come out on the track, and it's like all of the childhood memories and all of because it even ran in the States for years. It wasn't just a Canadian exclusive truck; it ran throughout the U.S. as well. And Cam did a great job, and Chris had a lot of Cam McQueen moments in Detroit when we look back on it.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that in just a moment. Another thing we had to talk about here is the awesome body. Actually, so this is the first time in about several years, about or more years that Jim Kohler or Team Scream in general got to run a show in their hometown of Detroit, Michigan. And no other way to do a show in your own hometown than represent your own team that actually made it far in the NFL playoffs. And Jim Kohler busted out the brand new and awesome looking Detroit Lions tribute Avenger, and that truck looks so sick. Uh, and honestly, that is just awesome looking. I hope more trucks when they get to do hometown shows, they represent a team or something of in a way kind of like how Jamie Garner. Actually, no, yeah, Jamie Garner usually represents Steps Towing Company in Orlando, or how last year like Jim Kohler, or actually like how Jamie Garner asked Jim Kohler to represent his own towing company, Garner's Towing Company in Indianapolis last year, with that awesome C10 Avenger body. But this Lions body is so sick. Everyone thought this was like an aquatic themed Avenger, but once everyone got a deep look into the Lions theme, they thought this was a sick thing. And honestly, hope more teams get to do this. And what do you think on this Avenger?
Yeah, seeing Jim run the Detroit Lions Avenger was spectacular, and for him, I think it was so nice because he had so many friends and so many family members that came out and supported him over the weekend. So, I mean, getting to see something like that, for him to support his own NFL team and for him to come home, I'm a little upset because they didn't give him a hook intro, and I feel like they should have done that. But still, what a great weekend for Jim Kohler and the Avenger.
Yeah, they should have given him a hook intro. Like this is your first show in your own hometown in quite a long time, and but honestly, can't nothing else more to say. Jim Kohler, of course, did wear a Detroit Lions jersey for Pit Party, which I thought was also cool. Um, but in that, I think that was the only two bodies that the Kohler family ran. And it's funny enough. These are like opposite colors on the color wheel, red and blue. But in that, two awesome bodies. Uh, and that Detroit Lions one is just so awesome. It's so cool looking. And we can't forget Northern Nightmare as well. Talk about Detroit, Michigan as well. Our boss, our Steel Time Sports League boss, Michael Barth, and a couple other friends like Wax was also there. I think someone else was there with them as well from the BMP. But they were there down in Detroit for the entire weekend actually. And I did want to bring Michael Barth on to talk about Detroit, but I didn't get the time. Like life, sometimes things in life get in the way. But we'll probably bring him back next time for Atlanta when he goes. But other than that, let's finally talk about Detroit, Michigan. Two shows this past weekend. We'll get through the racing from show one first. Your racing winner is Ryan Anderson and Son of a Digger defeating Mike Christensen and Vendetta. Well, I believe this is his first finals appearance throughout the entire season. Almost had it there. We'll take it over to the Skills Challenge competition. Your winner is Colt Stevens and Thunderers with an 8.791. However, in second place is Chris Kohler and Northern Nightmare with an 8.764. Now we'll talk about freestyle in show one. Now I'm gonna take it over to Kate and Allen. Let's talk about that freestyle.
Yeah, we talk about, all types of freestyle. We may have just witnessed Stadium Freestyle of the Year, not at least nomination, but yes, Northern Nightmare took it home with a 9.870 with Chris Kohler behind the wheel. What a way to bring back Northern Nightmare. And the run itself was insane. It had a backflip to back roll save, one wheel save, and then it had a barrel roll. It had just insane momentum. He popped the tire. It was pure Cam McQueen, old school Cam McQueen action, and that's what we love to see. And Colt Stevens had a great night as well, finishing in second in freestyle. But this freestyle night belonged to Cam McQueen, or excuse me, Chris Kohler in Northern Nightmare.
Yeah, as I'm putting up the video here from the Steel Time Sports League Instagram page, video recorded by Michael Barth. This, okay, we were watching a live stream on this, and we were going crazy.
Oh, we were going ballistic. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like if we were going, if I don't know, we were all over the place basically. But watching this was so sick. Like you said, the backflip. recovery. He popped a tire on after one of landings, and then did an awesome barrel to end the run. And Michael Barth in this video is just yelling his
He lost
guns out.
his mind.
He
Yeah.
lost his mind over it. I probably would not blame him. Chris Kohler is this was also his first freestyle win or competition win of the season, and no other way to do it with Northern Nightmare. Uh, Honestly, what an awesome return weekend it is for Northern Nightmare, representing the Canadians out there, especially Michael Barks, who took a drive from Canada over down to the U.S. for this show specifically, but that freestyle was off the hook. And then we'll talk about show two. Actually, before I even end show one, your show one's overall winner was Thunder Roars and Colt Stevens with 32 points. I believe this was his first overall. Am I not right?
Yeah, I mean, Colt Stevens getting his first overall of the season. That's big for Colt, to get a win like that. He deserves it. He's worked his butt off over the last year to try to, he didn't have the best of luck last year. I mean, obviously he won the World Freestyle Championship, but he didn't have the best of luck all throughout the season, but he was able to, kind of make 2024 start a good way to go out and or a good way to go out in Detroit. And that was, I believe, is actually his first time in Detroit. And what a way to go out in Detroit, winning that first overall of the weekend. But yeah, great job for Colt.
Yeah, Colt Stevens is a really underrated driver. Um, and Thunder Roars is doing a great job, but with other names such back then, like Brodozer especially, uh, awesome. I believe he was a better driver than Heavy D was. Like not throwing shade at Heavy D, but
Yeah,
he was better
no,
at driving that truck than the out like owner of the name. But he also drove other names such as Doomsday. Oh, when he was revealed back in St. Louis 2016. Uh, Also a zombie when it was supposed to be the debut year or debut season of Brodozer, but they didn't get the truck finish on time. But they gave him zombie for the meantime. But Colt Stevens is a really underrated driver. And now we'll
very.
talk about show two. We had the matchup of brother versus brother, and before they got there, Ryan Anderson and Son of a Digger defeated Corey Rommel and Megalodon, and Colt Stevens and Thunder Roars got beat by Adam Anderson and Gravedigger, which leads to the Anderson brothers meeting each other at the finals, and Gravedigger will take the win over Son of a Digger. And now we go over to our skills challenge competition. Corey Rommel finally got a competition win in the skills challenge, which with Megalodon, which I'll pull up the video here in just a moment. And now for freestyle. We'll talk about freestyle here for this show because I don't know. What did you think of show two's freestyle competition?
I think show two's freestyle in Detroit was a little lackluster. It did have some moments in there. It had Caleb Blood, crazy. It had a good save with Caleb Blood, but also it felt like it wasn't as, crazy as show one was. Crazy. Show one was amazing. You saw the backflip, the back roll from Northern Nightmare. You saw David Olford had an amazing save. And so you saw a lot of crazy things, but show two in Detroit was a little lackluster. And I think also a big shocker was Ryan Anderson and Son of a Digger. He didn't really have a run that was killer. You know, he had he had an awesome run, but he didn't have anything crazy. He finished third, but still, it was kind of shocking with that. But Joe Foley's had an amazing season, and it showed on Sunday. He didn't have the best of run on Saturday night, but on Sunday he threw it down. He did amazing right there. But again, Chris Kohler was like the main attraction for all of our Monster Jam fans, for all the fans in Northern Nightmare, and he did amazing. So, but yeah, I think show two was not better than show one in terms of the freestyle competition.
Yeah, it was not the best, but show one really took the spotlight of the entire weekend out of all tours because all tours, it's just kind of whatever at some points. But show one Detroit, we were talking about it for pretty much days. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, show two was okay, but show one, it's still in my head actually too. Um, yeah. One thing here, I also did kind of want to mention that unfortunately, like you said, Joe Foley did have a killer run on Sunday. Unfortunately, that did not get it for Another freestyle, a 5P for uh, freestyle competitions went consecutively over the weekends, but this time Adam took it. But your overall winner this time, and he's only 2 points over his brother, is Adam Anderson and Gravedigger, ending the weekend with 34 points. We'll look. I'll look. We'll look into the points here in just a moment for Stadium West. But what a weekend they had in Detroit. What do you think?
Absolutely. Detroit, obviously one of the biggest markets that Monster Jam goes to, and it was an insane turnout. They were talking like 105,000 Monster Jam fans turned out for both, for the whole weekend, not just for both days individually. But that was just incredible to watch. And you know, we were talking about this earlier. The return of Northern Nightmare, the return of Team Scream in their hometown. The new Avenger body. It just made the weekend so exciting to watch. They really threw it down all weekend, but unfortunately, the only guy that picked up a win for Team Stream, or two guys that actually picked it up, my bad, was Chris Kohler winning the freestyle on Saturday night and then Corey Rummel winning skills. But still, Ryan Anderson and Adam Anderson are still the talk of the tour as they head into the final few rounds of the series.
Yeah, right. And yeah, honestly, I'll look into as we look into more into the tours upcoming here in a little bit. But yeah, Detroit was the spotlight of the entire weekend because, and also actually from that post. So, uh, accordingly to Monster Jam, the record attendance for for Motor City was 105,000 plus in attendance, and what a crazy number, especially in Detroit. These guys, especially you know for Motor City, they love monster trucks. Um, and plus, I can't blame them. Their team made it so far into playoffs, but no other way to celebrate that than watching a couple of our hometown guys get a couple wins and just watching Chris Kohler, a young man, get an awesome freestyle win on Saturday night. But yeah, that was Detroit for y'all. We now look over into for the next couple of weekends. But before we go on, move over, I'd like to thank Kaden Allen for coming over and help me go on to this part as I'll go solo onto the rest. But thanks for coming on, Caden.
Thank you.
And what a week we had for week 8. A lot of crazy monster truck action we just had. It's now time to look into the next shows we have for week 9. Starting off with Hot Wheels Monster Trucks Live in Loretto, Texas, Rockford, Illinois, and Lipson. This is some overseas show. I don't remember all the countries, but this will be over there. And then we will have the Monster Trucks Most Wanted tour in Cleburne, Texas. Your lineup will consist of Fatal Attraction, driven by Jeff Murphy, Ghost Rider by Johnny Davenport, Girl Power, also Johnny Davenport. Okay, Prime Time, driven by Justin Murphy, and then we have the return of the Monster X tour in Waynesville, Georgia. Aftershock being driven by Kyle Seasock, Animal House Faith Freed, Boss Gator and Austin Spence, Quad Chaos and being driven by Byron Cadigan, and Temporarily Insane by Donnie Hebert. Then we move on over to another show, R2D. I'm not too familiar with this promoter, but it will be in Rapid City, South Dakota. Your lineup will have Triple B monster trucks, starting off with Barely Tame, being driven by Mike Rowley, Mechanical Mischief, driven by Josh Baumgartner, Rampage Tommy Verilone, Redneck Rampage Rod Schmidt, and USA One with Rodney Tweedy. Move on over to 2X Monster Trucks Live Tour in Camp Verde, Arizona. Your lineup will consist of Bounty Hunter Rob Potter, Hot Tamale Mike Brister, Don Green Scarlet Bandit, and Shark Bite with Dan Dahlgren. Monster Trucks Monster Truck Wars will be in Russellville, Kentucky, and Salina, Kansas. Now we move on over to Monster Truck Insanity Tour in Klamath Falls, Oregon. Your lineup will include Crash Test Dummy Dallas Glenn Rogers, Free Ride Dawson Rias, Geronimo Brandon Swick, and Hillbilly with Tim Manchester. And then Monster Truck Nitro Tour, we just recently talked about buying the monster trucks with the Z and converting it into Monster X. We just announced their lineup, but Monster Truck Nitro Tour will have two shows, one in Salem, Virginia, and the other Medford, Oregon. In Solheim, it will be Bad News Travels Fast with Brandon Durow, Shredder with Joe Lockhart, Stinger Unleashed with CJ Ritu, Taurus with Steve Thompson, and War Wizard with RJ Turner. And then in Medford, Enforcer with Brandon Galley, Jurassic Attack with Tim Hall Jr., Kamikaze Logan Tweedy, Playing for Keeps Tony Canito, Skull Crusher with Shane Plato, and Wicked Strong with Jacob Galley. And then Toughest Monster Truck Tour continuing their series in Saginaw, Michigan. Darren Basil under the wheel of Blockhead, Jerry Beck with Dirt Crew, Jack Brown with Dirt Crew Dozer, Travis Groth with Maximus, Psycho Circus with Mason Rife, Tailgater with Tim Jones, and The Veteran with Tyler Groth. And then the show that Nafajan will apparently be part of. So it is the All Star Monster Truck Tour in Maryville, Tennessee. Your lineup will consist of Elliot Miller with Colossus, Triton Robbins and Crazy Train, Athena Kozel with Lomas Dangerous, Triton Robbins with Playing Crazy, John Zimmer Jr. with Terminal Velocity, and John Zimmer with Uproar. In the following shows we have this upcoming weekend. So we have two stadium series and two arena series. Starting off with Arena West, they will be in Portland, Oregon. And also, I'm kind of deciding to skip over the overalls here, since it is just me. That'll be kind of boring just talking to myself here. So Arena West will be in Portland, Oregon, and then Arena Central will be in Rosemont, Illinois, for 5 shows in one weekend. And then Stadium Championship Series East will be in Orlando, Florida. And then following that, driving for Colton Eichelberger is Blake Granger. So good luck to Blake Granger this upcoming weekend. And then Stadium Championship Series West will be in Arlington, Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys, for a couple of shows, I believe. For one show only, excuse me. But other than that, that is these shows we have this upcoming weekend. That is week 8. We can't wait to see what week 9 will offer. And don't forget to follow at me at Lane_Flores2. And don't forget to follow the STSL Off the Track account on Instagram. And don't forget to follow the main account, Steel Time Sports League, as well. Their BMP series, all 3 tours are wrapping up this upcoming weekend. We can't wait to see who will come out on top. And all roads lead into the World Finals in Nashville. But other than that, that was week 8. We can't wait to see what week 9 will bring. But other than that, this was STSL Off the Track.